Before you waste thousands of dollars and months of your life chasing a license the wrong way, stop. In the next few minutes, I'm going to break down the exact truth on how to become a real estate agent. And I'm talking the real costs, the processes, and how you can do it the smartest way. So first things first, becoming a real estate agent is actually a really, really big decision. If you want to make big money in real estate, which I know you do because you're taking the time to watch this video, then you should know that it's not just a weekend thing. You can't really expect to just only work on weekends or only work, let's say 5-10 hours a week in real estate, and expect to make big money. And the reason for that is because there's so much competition in this field. Just think for a second. How many people do you know that are already a real estate agent? And out of those people, how many of them are actually selling houses consistently? It's probably a lot that are real estate agents, but it's probably not that many that are selling houses consistently. So we call it the 80-20 thing in the industry. So 20% of real estate agents are doing 80% of the business. And this pretty much goes for any market. So that's kind of, you just gotta be able to deal with the competition. And how you're able to deal with the competition is also knowing that at first, you're not gonna be good. And that's okay. You're just not good yet. But the quickest way to get good is by putting in the reps, by constantly doing it time after time, and then you just get better magically, or however that works. But when you're first starting especially, it can get pretty difficult where you may get discouraged. You may be like, dang, why are things not happening for me? So the strongest thing is you have to remember, what is your why at the end of the day? Why are you becoming a licensed real estate agent? And it cannot just be for money, because what's gonna happen is if you take all the tips that we teach you about in this channel, you're gonna make a lot of money, and that why is not gonna be sufficient enough for you. So just think deeply, what is really my why? And only you can answer that for yourself. But write that down, especially, I would say too, and always reflect on that when the days are hard or even when the days are good. So as we know, becoming a real estate agent is a huge decision. Now, let's talk about the step-by-step process, including the cost, the fees, and exactly how you can become a real estate agent today. So I'm going to give you all the exact 7-step, step-by-step process on how to become a licensed real estate agent. Literally, all you have to do is what I'm about to tell you right now in the 7 steps, and you will become a licensed real estate agent. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to do anything less. You don't have to do any more. Just follow these 7 steps. So the very first thing you're going to do, number 1, is you're going to take the 60-hour pre-licensing course. So taking your 60-hour pre-licensing course, this is the very first step before you literally do anything else. Well, first you have to determine, do you actually really want to be an agent? But once you've determined what you do want to be an agent, this is the very first thing. Once you pass this course, you can take your course exam, then your national and state exam, and then you move forward past that. You have a few different options when it comes to your pre-licensing course. You can do it online or you can do it in person. And don't worry, in person or online doesn't mean you have to do it for 60 hours straight. I like online because you can do it at your own pace versus in person. The reason why I didn't like in person is because they were saying like classes were like 5-6 hours long. Now, granted, it was only for like a month or two, but just for me, my personality type, that didn't mesh well with me. So I ended up doing mine online at my own pace. And because I was working 2 jobs pretty much all day at the time, it took me like 8 or 9 months really to do my course. So if you have a very busy schedule and you can't hold yourself accountable, I would not suggest doing it online. I would actually suggest doing it in person. So now we've established you have to do this. Let's talk about what most of you guys are going to be worried about, is the cost. How much does it really cost? So the cost just depends on your particular state. Every state's going to be different. I am located currently in Virginia, so we're going to talk about what Virginia's cost is. For online and in person, it's typically the same. We're looking at a bit north of $300 average. I would say sometimes it could be a bit less, sometimes it could be a bit more. And you may think, dang, Chris, that's a lot of money. Well, I've got a gift for you because you tuned into my videos. You are a loyal follower under real estate. You're looking to get in real estate, so I definitely want to give you a gift. If you guys click the link in the description below, you will see a link for the exact school that I use to do my 60-hour pre-licensing course, which is the 𝐒shop.com. And if you click that link below, you also get a 35% off code. So with that 35% off code, your price for the real estate course drops from a bit north of $300 to about $250. So pretty good savings there. And that also comes with a pass guarantee too. So if you don't pass it, they will refund your money. They'll make it right. But there's also an even less expensive option, which is $200, actually a bit less than $200, but that one doesn't come with a pass guarantee. So there's just a little savings for you guys when it comes to that, because you have to do this. There's literally no way around that. And remember, this does not need to be in a college or a fancy setting, things like that. It's online or in person, wherever they offer this. So number 2, right after this, is you have to pass your course exam. Did you think you could just do the pre-licensing course without doing the course exam? No, you have to do the course exam to show in good faith that you actually know and retain the information that was given to you in your course. So if we talk about the cost for how much that's going to be, it shouldn't be anything. They should not charge you any extra. I know the CE shop will not charge you extra. That is included in your fee that you paid upfront when you purchase the course. Now, as far as taking the course exam, that can be online proctored or it can be in person, just depending on your particular provider and how they set things up. And once you have passed the course exam, you will get an official course completion certificate. A lot of times it's going to come to you online and may get mailed to you, whatever, but you need that to go to the next step. And the next step, number 3, is you are going to take and pass the national and state PSI exam. Let me get these on the board. Taking and passing the national and state PSI exam. This is a little bit different from your course exam because your course exam is less of a formal setting. This is official, the real deal. So you have to go to an officially licensed PSI testing center. There's only a few that are available per state, so you have to schedule far in advance and make sure your spot is secured there. And as far as the questions go, there are 120 total questions, and there's 80 of them national topics and 40 state topics. And to pass this, you must pass with at least a 70%. But the thing is about this is you can fail one part and pass one part. So for example, you can pass the national and fail the state. Well, you have to pass both of them to be able to move on to the next step. So in that case, what you would do is you would just retake whatever PSI portion that you failed whenever the next availability is. You wouldn't have to retake the part that you already passed. And as far as the cost for this one right here, it ranges just depending on your state. In Virginia right now, we are about $60 just to apply to take the national and state exam. So be cautious of that. Also remember that you have to pay each time that you take one of these. So you don't want to mess around and fail this, and you don't want to have to take it a bunch of times because the cost can definitely add up. So as I mentioned before, the location, you have to do it at an official PSI sanctioned place, but they also, because of COVID, I believe they're also offering online proctoring now too. So you can just set that up from, the comfort of wherever that works. I don't know too much around that. When I did mine back when I first got licensed, I did that in an officially PSI sanctioned place. And I actually passed mine the first time. So I actually passed my real estate exam the first time. So that was cool. But just because you don't pass it the first time doesn't mean you won't be a successful agent. I know many agents who passed it the first time that didn't do nothing and they quit real estate. I also know agents, I know a particular agent who failed it, I believe 10 times, and they're actually a really good real estate agent. So don't let that define you. Some people just aren't good at tests, and that's okay. So now we've done these 3, let's move on to number 4. So congrats, you have taken the pre-licensing course, you've taken and passed the course exam, you have taken and passed a national and state PSI exam. What's next is you get fingerprinted and your background check. So don't be too concerned with that. People may be like, oh, okay, I stole from Target one time when I was 12 years old. Are they gonna find it out? No, they might, but they don't care about that necessarily. Now, the rules depend on state to state. I believe in some states you cannot become a licensed real estate agent if you have a felony. You'll have to Google that on your own terms. But currently in the state of Virginia, which is where I reside, you can be a licensed real estate agent with a felony on your record. And here we don't look at misdemeanors or things like that. That doesn't really affect your application status on if you'll get approved or pass the background check or not. Now, for my people with felonies specifically, thing is they are going to see that felony, but a lot of times that will not disqualify you from getting your real estate license. There may be times though in which you will have to appeal to the board, in which you'll have to explain the nature of your felony, kind of give your side, things like that. But that's typically more so things like fraud, violent crimes, or things that could directly affect your job as a day-to-day as a real estate agent. If it's for something completely unrelated, a lot of times they don't factor that into it too much. So don't be concerned if you do have a felony there. But if you have a clean background, this is easy breezy. And the cost for this is about $52, I would say, give or take. It can range just depending on your location, but $52 is a pretty good price, I would say. And the provider for that is typically they're going to do it right after at your PSI location, right after you pass your test. But if not, you just have to go to an approved vendor, and they'll be able to tell you, like the people who set up your PSI, they'll be able to tell you who the approved vendors are. So when you have done these 4 steps, the next thing, step number 5, is you're going to apply for your license through dPort. Don't ask me what dPort stands for because I don't know, but I know we have to use them all the time. So that is dPort. You got to apply through them. I just know, like, whenever you get a license in real estate, cosmetology, whatever it is, it has to go through dPort. Now the thing is, with dPort, if you're applying for your license, you can't just apply like as an independent person. You have to go under a brokerage. Now, things for you to remember also too, you can declare your own brokerage and have your own brokerage and only be under yourself with some time. That takes at least 2 years, and it also takes getting your broker's license, but we're not here to talk about that. We're talking about getting first license as a real estate agent or a real estate salesperson. So you have to declare a brokerage. So before then, at this time, you should have already picked out a brokerage. You should have some familiarity in what brokerage you're going to go with. But if you haven't chosen a brokerage yet, you will typically get a time grace period in which you're allowed to choose a brokerage. I don't know that exact timing. It just depends on your particular state and how long that you have to actually declare a brokerage. Now, after you've declared your brokerage, you apply it through dPort, you fill out your necessary paperwork. Typically, you're going to wait, let's say 14 to 30 business days for dPort to get back to you. Now, the thing is, it just depends on how backed up they are. I know around holiday times, things like that, they get really backed up. So I've had agents who their license has taken months to come in. I've had agents in which as soon as they applied, they got approved like within a week. So it really just depends, and there's nothing that you can do about that, honestly. Trust me, we've tried every single way to get around that. You just have to wait. There's really nothing that you can do. And the cost for this, for applying through dPort, is typically about $170. And after you've applied for your license through dPort, you're going to officially join your brokerage. Now, you can actually join your brokerage before your license even comes in, and you can actually join your brokerage before any of this. You can join a brokerage pretty much at any time, but you can't be an official licensed member until your license does come in through dPort. So that's something that you want to know. Now, when it comes to joining your brokerage, you want to choose a brokerage that is a great fit for you. Not just one that looks good on TV or you like the colors and, you know, some of the things that you see online. Is it a good fit for you? So we'll talk about that in future videos about how to find a brokerage that is a good fit for you. But you also have to remember, you have a lot of fees, in which we're going to get into more in this video, that are going to come up as soon as you get licensed. So I will recommend joining a brokerage or a team that does cover those fees. Like, I know my team, for my agents, we cover pretty much all those post-licensing fees for our agents, because we already know it can be expensive to get licensed, but there are many brokerages that won't cover that. So you just got to weigh your options and see what's the best fit for you at the end of the day when it comes to joining a brokerage. So after you've joined your brokerage, the next step is you're going to join your local MLS. Now, of course, you have had to join your brokerage before, because in your MLS, you're going to be under whatever brokerage that you choose to go with. So joining your local MLS or your realtor association, I put here optional, because you do not have to be a realtor to be selling real estate. At least here in Virginia. I know other states operate a little bit different, but here you do not have to join a realtor association to get part of the local MLS. If you guys are in areas in which you do have to be a realtor, let me know. I'm interested in that. I was a realtor in my first year, and hey man, not to jeopardize any sponsorships or anything, but wasn't really given what I need to give. So I just became a real estate agent, right? And nothing, the general public didn't know. They didn't really care too much about that. So joining your local MLS, that gives you access to all the good things you need to be a good real estate agent, like being able to run comparative market analysis, being able to see all the properties, see details about all the properties, skip trades very easily, and pretty much do your job as a real estate agent. If you don't have MLS access, there's really no point in being a real estate agent. There's nothing that separates you from the general public. So to get that exclusivity that you need to be a real estate agent, got to join your local MLS. And the cost of joining your local MLS is just going to vary depending on your location. I know in Virginia, our specific MLS, we pay each quarter. It's about $300 a quarter. So that equals to about $1,200 per year. And remember, you need to be part of this. Yeah, it can seem steep, but it's worth it at the end of the day. And there's also a possible one-time setup fee. I don't know that fee, to be honest with you. It's been a little bit since I did it, but there is a possible small one-time setup fee. I'm thinking of something under $150. So I talked about the cost of just joining MLS, and this is without being part of the Realtor Association. But if you do join a Realtor Association, not only do you have your regular MLS dues that you have to pay, you also are paying about $800 a year, give or take, to be part of the Realtor Association, because the Realtor Association isn't just one. There's NAR, which is National Association of Realtors, and then typically the state, it has like a separate one. Like I believe in Virginia is VAR, like Virginia Association of Realtors, and sometimes there's can be even like smaller subsets, like based on your specific county or things like that. But like I said, I'm not a realtor myself. I'm just a real estate agent. So the total cost of joining your local MLS per year, we're looking at on the low side about $1,200, and it can go all the way up to $2,000 plus, depending if you join the Realtor Association or not. So we talked about the 7 steps. You cannot skip any of these steps to become a licensed real estate agent. So just to go over it quickly, number 1 is you take your 60-hour licensing pre-licensing course. I don't know why I said licensing twice, but it's 60-hour pre-licensing course. Number 2 is you take and pass your exam course after you've passed your course. Number 3 is you take and pass your national and state PSI exam. Number 4 is you get your fingerprint and your background check. Number 5 is you apply for your license through DPOR. Number 6, you join a brokerage. Number 7 is you join your local MLS. When you've done all these things, congrats, you are official real estate agent. You can sell houses, bang, at that exact moment. Now we told you step-by-step process. Let's talk about all the costs of these. I know I kind of gave it, but I want to give it to you guys in the graph so you can see it visually for yourself. So I wanted to put all the costs right here so you guys could see it on what your costs are going to be based on your step. So to recap, your course is going to range from $200 to $600. 200 can be a bit less than that if you use my code. Our pre-licensing course, our 60 hours, remember, that typically ranges. If you use my code, we're looking at a bit less than 200. If you don't use my code, we're looking at 300 and up. So let's just say we're given a range from 200 to 600. I believe 600 is the most expensive one that I've seen. The exam fee, we're looking at $60 here. The third one is the fingerprint and background check. Your fingerprint and your background check, that's about $52. Your DPOR app, your applications through DPOR, we're looking at around $170. And your MLS dues, depending on if you're a realtor or not, are going to range from $900 to $1,200 plus a year. But the great thing is up front, you don't have to pay that whole annual fee. So that totals us to, we're looking at about $1,000 to $2,100 just to start to become a licensed real estate agent. Now there are ways to mitigate this cost a little bit. You can get this down for $1,000. So when people will typically ask me, how much does it cost to become a licensed real estate agent? I'll typically tell them $1,000, give or take, on is how much it's going to cost. So these are your required costs. These are your upfront costs. But what they don't tell you about are the hidden costs that come with becoming a licensed agent. Because, okay, you're a licensed agent now, the costs don't stop. Actually, they get more expensive when you actually start selling homes, when you actually need to market yourself as a licensed agent. So we're going to talk about the hidden costs now. So did you know there are actually a good amount of hidden costs that come with being a real estate agent that they don't tell you about? Yeah, we know all about the class, we know the course and the licensing fees, but what about the cost for lockbox, for marketing, for branding, for your CRM, for your lead management? There are a few different hidden costs, and honestly, I don't remember them off the top of my head. So I'm going to pull out my handy dandy phone and we're going to look at these numbers here. Now, let me tell you first, before I even get into these costs, one of the best ways to mitigate or not really have these costs is by joining a high-level team that will pay for these things for you. And if you're in Virginia, Access Real Estate Team will cover all these costs for you or for our agents. So let's talk about the cost for lot boxes. So lot boxes are what you need to put on your property, especially if you have any listings, for people to be able to coordinate to access the property, whether it's contractors, whether it's buyers, agents, investors, whoever it is. So lot boxes, they can be $100 to $150 per lot box. You gotta think, how many listings are you doing? Realistically, you want to do at least 5 to 10, I'll say, per year. So if we do that cost, that annual cost for lot boxes will equate to $500 to $1,500 possibly, just from lot boxes. Now, number 2 is you got to have your signs, right? If you're going to have a listing, you got to put a sign in the yard. You got to let the people know that this house is for sale. That's part of your marketing effort. And if you're not putting out a sign, what are you doing? But you also should be putting out directional signs too. Little tip for you. Don't just put the listing sign in the yard, because people may not go in that neighborhood. But put it on the outside of the neighborhoods. Put it in your main city parts, things like that, for people to be able to know, hey, there's a house for sale around that corner, things like that. So your listing and directional signs, your initial purchase will likely be $75 to $150 per sign panel. The frames and the posts, we're looking at $50 to $100 each. Directional signs can be $20 each. The replacement and storage fees for the signs, we're looking at $200 to $500 a year. So don't get bored with the numbers, y'all. I really got to give you this information just so you know, so you can't say I was surprised and Chris just led me astray and becoming a real estate agent. He didn't know all these costs were going to happen. So let's get into more costs. So let's talk about photography and video for listings. So of course, if you have a listing, you got to have the photos for it. You got to have the videos for it, because you're not properly marketing it if you don't. So professional photos, we're looking at around $150 to $300 per listing. Video tours and reels, we're looking at $250, possibly $600 per listing. A drone add-on, we're looking at around $100 to $200. And then that equals your total annual cost for listings. Let's assume you're doing 5 to 10, you're on a smaller level. We're looking at $3,000 to $10,000 a year just for professional photos and videos for your listing. This doesn't encompass all the other things either. I just talked about some of the marketing costs, so I'm gonna take a break from that, and we'll go back to what are your local MLS and association dues. So this can depend on where you're at, if you're part of a realtor association or not. So if you're just talking about your local MLS, which as a real estate agent, you have to be part of a local MLS. That's just how it works. So the local MLS, we're looking at around $300 per quarter, which should equal out to $1,200 a year, and that's just for becoming a member of your MLS, where you can get access to look at all properties and any perks and tips that you get for joining your local MLS. So I hope I'm not scaring you guys too much, and I've said it before, but I'm gonna say it again. If these fees, you're like, oh my gosh, these are kind of high, join a team. I'm telling you, a team will be able to pay for these things for you, so you don't have to have a bunch of upfront costs. Unfortunately, a lot of agents do quit because they don't have the money to pay all of these fees, but that's because they didn't join a team. So make sure you join a team. Now let's talk about more of the marketing aspect, more of the branding, the costs associated with that. And these fees, they're really going to vary, because you can blow it up as big as you want to, but to go fast and to go efficient, you're going to have to put some money behind it. So you can spend as much money as you want, and if you kind of don't want to have much cost, it may take you a little while to get your marketing and branding adequate. As we'll talk about it more in further videos in these series, paid ads are one of the core for gaining clientele. So if we're talking about ads, for social media ads, we're talking about Meta, Instagram, Facebook, also let's talk about Google, things like that. You want to have a budget spend of, at the bar minimum, like literally bar minimum, $250 a month. And let's say $250 to $1,000 a month. We're keeping it on a very elementary level. If you want to grow it bigger, I would say definitely suggest spending more, because you got to think of what your competition's doing, and that's not really that much money to spend. But all right, let's say $250 to $1,000 a month for ads. Custom content creation / a videographer / photographer, we're looking at probably, I'll say at least $2,000 a month, depending on how much they're filming. A lot of times they charge you based off deliverables. So if you're filming with them every day, every week, the price is going to go up more, versus if you're only filming with them, once a week, you can get that price down. Now, branded merch / swag, event materials, all these things, we're looking at, let's say $1,000 a year, give or take. So that'll push our total annual cost to at least, let's say at least $5,000 a year. And we're just talking about paid ads, custom content creation, and swag apparel to further promote your brand. So another thing also to factor in is a website. You always got to think, can people Google your name and what's going to pop up? If nothing pops up, then you're kind of putting yourself in a bad position. You don't have as much credibility. So you definitely want to have a website. And if you're getting a website on your own, we're typically looking at, let's say you're paying per month just to have the domain, just $200 a month. For SEO, search engine optimization, and blog hosting, we're looking at around $50 to $150 per month. So that'll push your total annual cost to, let's say, at least $1,500, going all the way up to $5,000 per month for just your website. I'm sorry, not per month, but per year, just for your website exclusively. And the last one that I want to talk to you guys about is your ongoing education and coaching. So did you know, as a licensed real estate agent, once you take your class and pass your course, that doesn't mean your education is done. You still have to go back to school, almost. You just have to take another quick course online. The hours for that is just going to depend on your state and depend on what you're doing. Like if you want to be a broker, if you're just renewing your real estate salesperson application, you have to pay for that also. So ongoing education and coaching, CE, also known as continuing education, credits, workshops, conferences, If you have to pay for it, we're probably looking at about $500 a year. Coaching programs, if you really want to expand your knowledge in real estate, you want to make money a lot faster, you want to make a lot more money, I would definitely suggest purchasing a coaching program from somebody that you trust, somebody that's vetted, and that can really vary. There's no point in getting figures on that one. So bare minimum for coaching, education, training, we're looking at bare minimum, I would say $500 a year, give or take, when it comes to that. But I would definitely suggest spending more. One of the biggest things that helped me out and helped expand my career very proficiently, very quickly, was paying for masterminds, paying for coaching, because it just all came to me quicker versus trying to find it all myself, trying to be cheap. So good ways around this though. Join a team that provides these things for you so you can save a lot of costs on it. So now we know about the hidden costs of becoming a real estate agent. Let's total it all up. Let's figure out how much it can actually cost to become a real estate agent. We just talked about the hidden costs of being a real estate agent after you get licensed. Just so you guys remember to reflect, these are your required costs. So we said the range is $1,000, $2,100, let's say $1,500. $1,500 is your required costs, your upfront costs to becoming a real estate agent. Now you can get a bit less, but let's say $1,500 for now. Now, as we discussed, the hidden costs, I wanted to give you that breakdown so you can literally see it for yourself, right? What are the hidden costs of becoming a real estate agent? So the first thing that we have is the required cost of $1,500, which we already talked about. Now, you're also going to add $500 annually for lot boxes. And also this model right here is a very skinny and honestly probably inefficient model, but more so this is if you're just paying it for yourself and you're just paying the bare minimum, right? All right, so lot boxes, $500 annually. Signs, let's say you spend about $1,000 annually. Photos and video marketing, $5,000 annually. I wish our photos and video guy would give us this price for $5,000. And hey man, hey, that would be great. But like we said, we're keeping it on the very skinny model for you for this example. Your CRM and website, we're looking at $2,500 annually. Marketing and branding, $5,000 annually. Your coaching, $5,000 annually. And your brokerage fees, $1,500. From here to here are optional. You do not have to pay for any of these things, but to be an efficient real estate agent, you need to be paying for these things. And total here is we're looking at $22,000 within your first year in which you're going to be paying to even become a legit real estate agent that is capable of buying or selling a house. Yes, you can do this option, but you will not sell any houses if you don't pay these fees. But there's a way around that though. There's a way around that. You do not have to pay all of these fees out of your pocket, because your brokerage or your team, they can pay these fees for you. Any reputable brokerage or team will pay at least some of these fees for you. I know my company at Assets Real Estate, what we do is we pay all of these fees. We pay all of them for our agents who come on. So all they're responsible for is their upfront fee of $1,500, which will follow them for however long their real estate career chooses to be. Now, if you aren't doing that model, you want to go in it all for yourself, and you want to choose a brokerage that isn't providing you with paying those fees in exchange for a higher split or whatever they're offering for you in exchange for not paying those fees, we're looking at $22,000. So $22,000 or $1,500 a year. Which one makes more sense? You have to determine that for yourself. And as a newer real estate agent, I would say choosing the one with less expense likely makes more sense for you, so you don't have to be so worried about catching up to this number and the stress of it. And remember, this is for a very, very skinny model, meaning you're not really spending any money. So really, if you're actually trying to be efficient, this will at least double. Now these figures, they may seem a bit scary, but let's think about what is our return on investment at the end of the day. If you sell one property, our average sales price is a bit more than $300,000 now, but for math's sake, let's use 300K. All right, so 300K, average commission, let's say 3%. All right, so 0.03 of that, we're looking at a GCI, gross commission income of $9,000. And how much you get from that is going to depend on your split. As a newer agent, I would expect a 50-50 split. So you're walking away with $4,500 is going to be your net. So you have to put some of that to the side for taxes. So let's say you put about 30% to the side for taxes. So 4,500, 30% of that is, what are we, $1,350. So 4,500 minus 1,350, you're walking away with a total estimated net of $3,150. All right, that's what you made from your first deal, right? Okay, so if you spent here, cool, you pretty much 2x your initial investment. But here you didn't really put a dent in that yet. Okay. All right, so what can you do about that? Now the thing is, this number is going to be what it's going to be. This is actually a lot more, to be honest with you. And I know that because I own a real estate company, so I can tell you exactly how much it costs to really brand the agents and get them as competent agents. So that has to be spent, right? Now, if a team or brokerage like assets, if we pay for your stuff, your career will go faster and you have to do less work. Because let's take this photos and video marketing. Okay, we're saying we spend $5,000 a year, right? That's what we said on a skinny model. I'll tell you at assets, we spend more than that per week on photos and video marketing for our agents. And not just our company. This is for marketing our agents to brand them as bigger and better and to make sure that they can close deals faster. So the more your company spends on paying for these things, if they are paying for these things for you, the more you should take advantage of it and the faster your growth will be. So when it comes to joining a brokerage, I would definitely recommend choosing a top tier company that is paying for these things and not just paying the bare minimum, but they're really spending money on it, because you will grow faster. And if you are in Virginia, make sure you reach out to Assets Real Estate Team. Now you know exactly what it takes to become a licensed agent and the real costs that no one talks about. But don't stop here. Please don't stop here. I created a free step-by-step checklist that teaches you how to launch your real estate career the right way. All you have to do is click the link below in the description to get that for you for free. And of course, if you're interested in anything real estate investing related, watch my other videos. Bye.